Hello and welcome. So we're here today. What we want to do is we're going to talk about how to perform a motor lead ID test on a three-phase, 9-lead dual voltage motor. So these motors would have T1 through T9, right? And they're meant to operate on either a low voltage or a high voltage setting. So I've got a whole bunch of videos discussing those motors and configurations down below in the description. But what we're going to talk about today is actually, I walk up to a motor and there's 9 conductors hanging out of that junction box, but there's no labels on them. So how am I going to identify which conductor is which, and then configure and connect the motor and then energize it to run? So when we're looking here, this video, we're going to talk about a delta configured motor. So I have these 3 groups of 3. We're going to go through the process of identifying these. So we're going to grab an actual motor and a meter in a minute, and we're going to go through the process. But there's going to be 4 steps for this delta motor. First, I'm going to identify the groups. Then I need to find the center point within each group. Then I'm going to perform what I call phasing. So determine, whether this winding is here or here. And then lastly, I'm going to connect and energize the motor. So let's grab a motor and a meter and let's take a look. Thanks for. All right, so here we are with our 9-lead delta motor. So now this one's been simplified a little bit. I've already brought, or I haven't, but all the terminals or all the conductors are brought out to these random test point terminals here. So now these are randomly placed, but they are going to help us identify quickly all the terminals, right? So, and what I see here on the right, that's my delta motor, right? So I know my delta motor is 3 groups of 3. And you know what? That's actually going to be my very first step. My first step is I'm going to ID the different groups. So remembering that in a delta motor, we have 3 groups of 3. So pull out my voltmeter or my multimeter, sorry, I'm going to turn it to ohms. And I'm quickly going to go through and I'm going to identify my groups. So I and G. And A. So I, G, and A are one group. My next group we'll figure out. H, F, and E. Which should leave us with B, C, and D. Perfect. So now what I want to do, now my next step is I know that my center points here on my groupings, my center points, the ones on the X or outside here, right? T1, T2, and T3. I need to find those center points. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find my center points, which are going to be my T1, T2, and T3. So I'm going to do that using my ohm meter. So basically, if I look at a coil like this one here, and I take out my ohm meter, right? I'm going to read, in this case, around 10 ohms from here to here, and around 10 ohms from here to here. And then the whole thing, because those 2 coils are in series, is about 20 ohms. So that's what I'm doing here to identify those center points. So I'm going to start with I, G, and A. I have 20 ohms, which actually already tells me that A to I is 10 ohms. A to G is 10 ohms, which tells me that A on that first group is my center point. So I'm going to call that A up there at the top. I'm going to say that is my center point right there. Good to go. So I'm going to do the next group, H, F, and E. H and F I have 19, which tells me that E to F should be 10, and E to H should be 10, so that tells me that E is my center point. Then we've got B, C, and D as my last group. B to C is 10 ohms. B to D is 10 ohms. So that means B should be my center point. Perfect. B should be my center point. And I'm going to make this down here E, and this one over here B. Awesome. So now we've identified those center points, or my T1, T2, T3 points. My next step is what I call phasing. So what I'm going to do with phasing is it's a pretty cool process. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a voltage. So I know up at the top, and I'm going to use my blue pencil. I'm saying it's pencil, not red. Red's permanent. I know that maybe I have I and G up here. Maybe I have, F and H here, and maybe I have C and D here. Again, those aren't permanent. They're very temporary. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a voltage. So I'm going to apply a voltage, here I'm going to apply, let's say 20 volts, a low voltage. Now you can use a doorbell transformer for this, or you can use a variable power supply, which is what I have. 15 volts works great, but I'm using 20 in this case. That is going to apply a voltage to those two windings, which is going to induce a voltage and induce magnetic lines of flux through my whole stator like that. So what we know is that where magnetic lines of flux cut at 90 degrees, like you see down here, that's where I get the most induced voltage. So I'm going to apply 20 volts to I and G, like I see up there. So I've got my variable power supply, I and G. I'm going to turn it on. You can see, right, AC volts. I'm applying about 20 volts. Now what I should measure from B to C is 7.5 volts, and what I should measure from B to D is 2.8 volts. So what that means, right up here, again, I was measuring 7.5 volts here and 2.8 volts here, which means that I have those labeled correctly, which tells me this is C and this is D up there. I'll just quickly D up there. This is C down here because of the voltages that I was getting. Perfect. Now I'm going to do the other side, F and H. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to measure from E to H. Oh, perfect, lucky again. E to H I get 7.5 volts. E to F I get 2.5 volts. And now the voltage I'm getting doesn't matter. What matters is that one is low and one is high. So again, I'm going to get the high voltage down here. I had the high voltage going to H and the lower voltage going to F. So that helps me set those as permanent. Now that's great, but what I want to do is I also need to confirm I and G. So I'm going to get rid of all that. Sorry, draw that back in. Now I'm going to remove that voltage from I and G, and I'm going to pick another side. I'm going to apply my voltage over here from D, 20 volts to C. So I turn off my voltage supply. D to C is where I'm going to apply my voltage now. Turn that on. Now my flux shower is going that direction. So where I'm cutting lines of flux, I already know E to F should be my high voltage. I get 7.5, and E to H should be my low. Perfect. Now I'm going to check A to G. 2.8, and A to I, 7.5. So that means I have G and I mixed up. So I'm going to erase those. I'm going to put I over here and G over here. Now what I strongly recommend is that you do it a third time, and you would apply a voltage down in the bottom right corner to F and H, and you just confirm G and D. We're going to skip that step because I'm pretty sure but that's what I would recommend. Now our fourth step is to connect plus energize. So now again, it will depend here which, whether you're going for a low voltage connection or a high voltage connection. On this motor nameplate, we can see that it's good for 230 volts or 460, meaning 480 or 240 volts. So what I want to do in this situation, maybe because it's a little bit more common or maybe not, we are going to connect this motor for a low voltage connection, right? Which we know is called a parallel connection. And again, if you're looking for a high voltage 480 volt connection, just take a look at the video that I link above here, and you can see all of my, or you can see my delta high voltage connection. But in this case, we're doing a low voltage parallel. It might be worth checking out that video as well. I kind of explain it a little bit slower than I'm going to in this video. So what I want to do is a parallel connection. I want to take this winding and I want to put it in parallel with that winding down there. So for my connections, I'm going to connect A to D, and I'm going to connect G to B. Okay. Then I want to do the same thing over here. I want to put this winding in parallel with this winding. So I'm going to connect B to H and C to E. Now I want to put this winding here in parallel with this winding. So I'm going to connect E to I and A to F like that. And that's going to be the connections that I need to make. So I'm going to turn off and remove my variable power supply here. I'm done with that. I'm actually done with my meter as well. I'm going to turn that off and move it out of the way. Now I'm going to take out my Moretz. I mean, in my case, I'm just going to use jumper cables, but in the field, you'd be using Moretz. I'm going to go A to F. And I'm going to go A to D. And A, I'm going to call my line 1 point as my corner. So I'm going to hook up like that. Then I'm going to go down to my next corner, which would be E. E is going to go to I, and E is going to go to C. And I'm going to call E my line 2 connection like that. And lastly, I've got B goes to H, and B goes to G like that. And I'm going to call that my line 3 connection. All right, so they all kind of connected up in there. They're a little tough to see like this, but after I get them all connected up, the very last thing I want to do is I'm going to want to bump test this motor. So I hook up my connection and I will energize it. Perfect. So now what we have is we've energized that motor. We can see it's running nice and smooth. So we have successfully connected a 9-lead Delta dual voltage motor. So I really do hope this helps. Please take a look at these other videos that are popping up that might be of some more help. All about 9-lead motors, the terminal identification, and all of the connections. Or check out any of my other motors videos. So thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.